hello and welcome to another podcast of Construction Zone Music Community Podcast.
Not farts. They are not farts.
I am Doc Bizzle. I'm here today with Dan Drumstone, who has a little construction going on at his new place. So you may hear some of that in the background.
Apologies.
Random girl singing was not able to join us today. She literally just had like a utility truck run over the internet connection to her house.
Yeah.
So sadly, we're going to miss her today. But I'm very excited today to have with us special guests known on Twitch as FieldProcessor. They are joining us today. Two brothers from up north. I won't give you their address or anything, but affectionately
Turn
known
right
as
at North Dakota.
Yeah, exactly. But Shades and Space is what they go by here on Twitch. And so if you guys, if you're in chat out there, greet them. But we're excited to have FieldProcessor with us today.
Man, Doc, thank you so much. We're really excited to be here, and honored just the caliber of streamers and musicians that you guys have had on the podcast. It's so great to be with you guys here today.
They're not that great. They're not that great. No, you guys are. Yes. It's really a treat. I found you guys through Doc.
Nice.
He said like, hey, have you, we always talk about like who we'd like to have on. And yeah, some streamers are, have a bigger audience and are more well known, but you guys are building up too. Like people, definitely know your name, and is really cool. It was awesome for me to find you because I was like, man, this is so cool. So yeah, you guys are right up there too. It's an honor to have you here.
That's very kind of you to say. Yes.
Yeah. Thanks, Dan.
As far as
slow and steady.
Yeah.
As far as introduction, just from what I already know about you guys, to let everybody know, FieldProcessor, as I said, it's two brothers, two guys, and they do a really unique mix of looping and improv and writing songs, all like right in front of your face. You've probably seen musicians use a looper. Like you'll see a solo artist use a looper and they'll create a little, percussion thing and then they'll play and then they'll solo. But this is that like squared because these two guys both have a looper. One of them is playing primarily drums and bass guitar and singing. That would be Shades. And then Space has got a keyboard and his electric guitar rig with all of his pedals and also has a microphone. And they synchronize their loopers manually, if I'm correct. You guys do that manually, which is a task all by itself. But then they literally build loops and write songs right on the spot. They're not doing covers. They're doing creative, fresh content. Now, when I came across their channel, I was just immediately blown away just by that. I'm like, that right there sets you guys apart. And then the fact that you're both really talented and do it well. I want to tell everybody who's listening to the podcast right now, if you're not following FieldProcessor, you need to check out their channel. Go check it out. It's inspiring. You'll have a good time. Trust me. So that's my intro for you guys. I think the world of you. I think what you're doing is unique and very, very highly skilled.
Wow.
I gotta wear these shades to hide me crying. That's so sweet, man. Thank you so much.
No, absolutely, man. I'm so
wonderful.
glad I found you guys. So
That's
glad
that
we're getting to discover, more about you. So having said that, from your perspective though, from your words, we always like to get to know our guests, not just from a Twitch perspective, but tell us a little bit about your musical journey, where music and things like that started for you. What inspired you? Give us some of that story.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Being brothers, we've always sort of jammed with each other, played music. I remember being like an 8-year-old and hitting cushions with drumsticks while he plugged a guitar into like a Sony Ghetto Blaster, which made it sound distorted. And we were just immediately playing music back then. I never really thought of myself as a drummer. I'm certainly not as talented as this man over here. But eventually, when we grew up, we sort of got into our own high school bands and did our own thing, and we were separate for a long time.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until like 2012 we were like, why aren't we playing together in a band? We have different histories. I don't know if he wants to delve into that too much, but I was 10 years in a pretty significant rock band that was touring Toronto. We did very well. We were the house band at Jeff Healy's club here in Toronto, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
And when that broke off, I was like, what most people do is they try to do a solo thing. So in 2008 is when I actually bought that loop pedal, and I bought the drum pad off of my drummer from the band, and I started touring or just playing shows in the city as a solo person, doing drums and acoustic guitar. So at that point, I thought I was being clever, and I came up with the idea of folktronica. And eventually started inviting my brother to play with me.
I love that.
And, when we started going, hey, why aren't we in a band together? We thought about this idea of what is folktronica or whatever. And that's how we kind of came up with the name of the band. It's like field, it's the acoustic, it's the manual, and then the processor, which is like the electronic. So although we use a lot of loop pedals and a lot of effects, everything we're doing is not pre-recorded. It's all like a manual situation, and that's sort of the idea behind the name.
Yeah, well, cool. Doc mentioned like the loops, like just how you guys get that started, like with a drum thing or whatever. Like that had to take a while to get used to, because I don't have the patience for that. I've tried that before, and it's just like,
it can be frustrating, and it's interesting again, and Shades kind of goes over it pretty quickly. But like, he wasn't a drummer; he kind of had to adapt and learn that because he wanted to play everything as a one-person act, right? So he had a tool, but you had to kind of learn how to make that work with your setup. Yeah. And I think very similar for me. Like, I came from more of an acoustic guitar background, and then I started learning electric guitar for bands because that's what you needed to play. I don't think I was ever really that comfortable either in like a soloist front lead guitar kind of role, but that would be the area I was always sort of pushed into. And then when we got together and started making music, it's like, okay, how do we do this with just two people? It was more out of necessity even than anything else. Like, how can we make it? We weren't sort of putting the loop pedal and the whole setup first. It was just, we wanted to play music together,
build the sound,
and we're only two guys. So how do we do that?
Yeah,
makes total sense.
Yeah.
So what about you, Space? Where did your musical journey start? I mean, we heard a little bit from Shades that you guys kind of played a little bit together when you were younger, but what inspired you to
split off, did your own thing, right?
Well, yeah, we grew up in it was a fairly musical house. Not that we had anybody performing, but like, I mean, our dad played acoustic guitar. He always had guitars in the house, so we got to like grow up with musical instruments in the house. He had a Yamaha DX7. I think I made it all the way up to grade 4 piano lessons before my teacher couldn't stand me any longer. As I just like,
yeah,
I'm a memory feel person. I could read music, but it was so slow for me. Like, I would struggle with that, so I would really slowly be hitting these notes, driving my teacher absolutely crazy. But then when I heard the melody, I'd be like, okay, now I can play this song for you. And like, that's as far as I got really formal training. Learned a little bit of acoustic guitar from my dad, and just went from there. Yeah, playing. It's interesting, when we were hitting high school, the thing to do was to be in your own original like indie garage band. Like, that's what you wanted to be in. Mm-hmm. And I did it, and my brother did it. We have a third brother. He did the same thing, and it's like, that's what it was all about for us. And definitely the original music aspect of it, though, too. Like, we really wanted to write our own music. The cooler thing about what we're doing right now is it wasn't until recently that we said, well, we want to actually make our own, because we're usually part of another group or somebody else's band, or filling in for a need.
Yeah, we were the sidekicks in our bands. We weren't the leads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when did you guys get into streaming? Well, let's start. Where did you first hear about Twitch? Or where did that concept of it come to you guys?
Yeah, that's a bit of a story, because at first, like I said, we just started just jamming with each other. We weren't playing shows, and we didn't want to play shows. This is the other thing. 10 years of touring for me is, it's like, I don't want to ever carry a bass cabinet again. I'm done with that. I'm too old for this. Yes. And it's like, oh yeah, the drummers
do you ever have like like an 8x10 bass cab. I remember playing with bass players that it didn't have wheels on it, and I was like, man, just put wheels on it. They're like, why? We can carry it. I'm like,
no.
You know, and 20 shows later, I'm like, we're getting wheels.
Yeah, Folktronica. Yeah, exactly. So we were just jamming around doing our own thing, and we were trying to come up with what we're going to do with this music we're creating. And at the time, with loops and building stuff, our songs were averaging around 7 minutes long.
At least.
So they were very extensive, and I was like, who's going to want to listen to this, right? It can't go on the radio. It can't go into an album. It's just too long. And so eventually we concocted the idea of building a podcast, which is also the idea of creating mini albums, basically. We'll have 4 songs. There's these robot hosts that sort of talk between them.
Yeah.
And we started doing that in 2014, January.
It's cool because it was when we first started playing music together, we also had this ambitious goal. We're going to write a song, a new, unique, original song every week.
Every 7 days.
So that we would have 4 songs for a podcast a month. Now, that was a pretty heavy goal, and I don't think we hit it all the time.
Yeah, we exhausted that after 1 year.
Yeah, that's where we started. So yeah, we kind of figured out that whole setup, and we had music, and we had looping pedals, and we were playing to get, like, we were almost doing what we do in here, but for nobody. Like, we were just, okay, now we'll create a podcast. I guess we'll put the podcast up. There's no interaction whatsoever, right? You don't know what you're doing. And the few people that were listening to it, I think you were saying, so it's like, oh, okay, that's really cool.
It sounds cool, but how is this happening? And I don't understand.
Well, yeah, it'd be great if people could actually see what you're doing.
Yeah. So it wasn't until I think I heard the announcement that Twitch was moving away from just supporting video game streaming. Mm-hmm. And that's when we got excited about that. We had tried other streaming services. We tried Ustream.
I think once or twice only.
Wasn't very good. And
no, it just got lost. I feel like it just got lost in it. There was no.
It was hard to use though, and the tools like Twitch, when we got that going, we were like, look at all the stuff you can do. It was really exciting.
Yeah,
it is pretty amazing.
So was that 2016 February?
We actually started on Twitch February 2016. So we've been at it a while too. It's been a slow and steady climb for us.
Yeah.
But it's really cool because, again, like, there's certain people, like, I saw Doc when he was first starting out. I've seen a lot of streamers, like, just starting out, because we were there too, and watching these people and watching their communities grow and watching what they've been able to do with their channels and all the things they've been adding in. It's been a pretty interesting ride.
I'm trying to, like, do math right now, and I'm trying to think when I started now. I'm like, it's 2018. What year did you start, Doc? 2016 too?
2017.
Okay, so I was 2017 too. Man, I'm terrible. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so we've been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I want to, if we can, do a little rabbit trail and then come back to the Twitch part. I remember you guys telling me a little bit about your podcast one night and how it's bots that talk, like they're like, can you go in depth a little bit about that? Because I remember when you told me that, I was like, that is freaking cool as crap. It may be random, who knows what it spits out, but can you describe that to us and how that plays into your podcast?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess I'm really fascinated by robots. They're always been a thing that I'm really interested in. And artificial intelligence as a idea is kind of cool. Yeah. It's really growing now too. It's a big industry. But yeah, with the idea with the podcast is like, I didn't want to have us talk in the podcast and then play music. I don't know. It just seemed too look at us or whatever.
A bit too, I don't know. Yeah, it's like egotistical or something. It just feels weird. Like, let's talk about our own song. I don't know. So
I got a history in like creative writing, and I really got into the idea of building these scripts for a male bot and a femme bot to basically talk to each other. Every episode is different. Sometimes they're being poetic. Sometimes they'll teach you a history lesson about something. We had one about Canada Day, if you want to know about our country.
Man.
Yeah.
But they legit respond to each other, so you're not just sitting there typing.
They have a conversation.
Yeah.
I write them. I write them. It's not like I built them.
We haven't created real AI. No.
They're computer voices.
I mean, yes, they're
real. They're in the shop.
They're over there.
It's like, Finding out wrestling wasn't real.
No.
Yeah.
No, but it's a cool perspective, right? Because it's a great way to have hosts for a show, because they kind of get to look at not just like us, it's like humanity from these totally fresh eyes of like, we're outside of that box, and it's like, why do people do this? Like, you can explore all sorts of really interesting ideas, because you get to remove yourself from them as well. So it's kind of fun. It's mainly Shades that's coming up with all of the content for these robots, and there's some really fun ideas in there.
Yeah. Now, when you guys started streaming, did you like just really latch onto it right away? Were you just like, oh my gosh, this is really cool, or was it kind of like a thing that you had to kind of get used to or figure out the best way to present what you wanted to do on Twitch? How did that go in the beginning?
Well, I've always had a mantra that everything I create, I want to share.
Yeah.
And I used to butt heads, actually, with my old bandmates about that, because it was like, it's not ready to play at a show. It's like, no, why aren't we playing the song? It's a cool song. It's like, no, it's not ready. It's not ready. Let's practice. And it's like, no, we should be playing shows. Like, let's share what we're doing. It's cool, right?
Yeah.
So I've always wanted to share music, and that's always been a philosophy of mine.
Yeah.
I'm much more interested in the process of building a song more than the polishing of building a song, which this guy likes.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, the idea of being able to just stream and just do things, I was on board with immediately.
I think we latched onto that pretty fast. I wouldn't say that we had the equipment figured out or the overlays figured out or like that end of it. Definitely, you know, we were learning as we went too. But to hit the button and just say let's stream was pretty easy. There's some hilarious clips still on our stream. If you want to see like our first episodes, I'm like facing a wall sideways, drumming, and it's like we have the camera set up in stupid places that are just not smart. It's funny. It's like
it's a growing thing, you know. You get better at it. You figure out things. You get better.
It's one of our first highlights or clips, because at the time we're just like, hey, we made music, let's record it so we don't lose this, so we can listen to it. But it's like it sits there and it's been there the longest, so it's probably got the most views, and people coming in clicking the most, you know, watched or seeing us from 2 years ago with, you know, the camera with him facing the wall, and I've got like a $20 webcam from 20 years ago.
I think like, that's what I saw a couple months ago.
And it's all
when Doc
gritty.
showed me you guys. Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, we didn't have a bunch of gear yet. We had some songs. We wanted to play music. So.
Yeah, your stream is really cool now because, like, you know, you guys face forward or sometimes it's split and, you know, the camera changes. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's what I was noticing last night. Like the camera changes and stuff are really fresh because it makes you feel like you're not just sitting there watching a static room. It kind of makes it feel like you're kind of walking around the room and checking out what's going on. I love that about the way you guys have that set up, by the way.
Yeah. Who are some of the first, you know what, just really quick, this won't happen in the future, but you know how I complained about the train, like where I used to live? The train's so far away. There's this huge valley back there, and I can hear the train. So I think I'm cursed to like have a train like wherever I go.
They're following you wherever you go.
Yeah. I'm just sitting here laughing like, are you kidding me? Like right now, there's a train. What was I going to say? I can't remember.
Train
so distracting me.
You just got derailed by the train.
Oh, I was going to ask, like, when you guys heard about Twitch and that they were doing creative stuff, who were some of the first people? Because 2016 is early, so, like, who were some of the first music streamers? There weren't that many doing it when you guys kicked off.
And I can't remember...
Want me to help you out?
Exactly. I know for sure one of the first would have been Monty, would have been Scene of Action.
Yeah.
Scene of Action is where we got the idea of the transitioning video.
Yeah.
And it's just to see somebody doing like, oh, it's original content, playing his own stuff and just sounding amazing. Like, okay, there's a spot to do this here. And not like the only thingey're going to want to see is a very specific formula for music potentially.
I'm
trying to remember.
Megan Lenius was one of the
Okay.
first people we were checking out, and she was a huge supporter of us way at the very beginning too.
Nice.
So I don't ever want to forget her.
It was fun because this was like this young girl who moved to California and was like just started streaming again. It was like one of these stories. Got to watch her like when she had 100 followers and then 500 followers, and just watch her like just pushing the envelope and blowing up.
I think she got started 2017 as well, like early in 2017. Yeah.
I'm trying to think who from 2016. I'm not
So long
sure.
ago.
I know
Memories like that anymore.
there was another guy, Family Jewels. I watched a fair bit because he was doing like guitar covers of video game music, and I think I saw either through YouTube and maybe made the link that he's doing Twitch as well, and just again it was just this like acknowledge, yes, you can do music here, and it would be an interesting place to try what we want to do.
Yeah. Now, when you did start streaming and all that stuff, how did that affect how you guys write and how you perform? Because, like you said, a lot of it is you just, it's all improvised kind of, and you start from scratch and you change stuff sometimes based on like the viewers. Like, how has that? I gotta think that it's a lot more exciting for you guys to have other people involved in that process.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, anytime there's a big group of people and they're all chatting is like, that's fuel. That's just like, that'll get us going way more. Because we're always in our own heads anyways. So it's like, it's much more interesting to have other things being thrown at us. And I worry about that in some cases because, again, just the camera changes in the room, and it's very much like a live performance presentation, like here's a show. And I feel like a lot of people that are new and they're coming in,
They stay quiet.
they almost like take the this is a music venue type approach, and they find their seat and they sit and they politely watch the show, which is no, we're really happy to have you chatting and put the emotes up and spam the chat. Like that's our favorite thing.
And we often we'll pick up conversations in the chat and turn them into songs. One of my favorite ones is we had some guy from Australia. He was talking about making a sandwich.
Oh, it was Jonathan. It was Jonathan Ong.
Oh yeah, Jonathan. Yeah.
Jonathan was our 100th follower, which was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. And he was talking about making a kangaroo meat sandwich, which got the whole chat really into it. And, so then we wrote a song called Kangaroo Burger Time. Yeah. It was really fun.
I think I was there that night.
Yeah, that was a fun night. There was a lot of people there.
That's so cool.
I mean,
So I'm curious, when you guys, after you have finished, writing all fresh stuff, improv stuff, during a stream, do you ever go back and take some of your favorites and say, okay, let's actually take this one and then now shape it maybe a little more, or shape it into a more concise, like here's what we would have done, like if we had thought of it at the time. Do you ever go back and do that, or do you just sort of leave them as they are?
If he's more OCD,
See,
you guys probably complement each other very well.
I think so, and I mean, I do. I do get excited about. I mean, I get excited about mixing too. That's a whole other side of the thing, but also crafting a song and kind of putting the pieces together and saying, okay, now how do we actually get these layers, and where do we pull them out, or where do we put them back in? So we sent you one track, Dan, and hopefully that's one that we can end up in the podcast. And that's one that we wrote. It did start as an improv jam, and it would have been on stream. It was from a while back now, but we came back to it and we wrote it. Like, we took the parts that we record, because one of the other things that we're doing in the background is we're recording everything in Logic. So while we're streaming, we've kind of got a glorified 6-track recorder keeping track of everything that we've done. And that way we can go back and I can mix it, or I can cut and paste. We could try, okay, let's do this again, but let's change the tempo. But yeah, there's been a couple cases where we'll take a song and we will finesse it. I will admit, though, the production streams or the mixing streams don't seem to be as interesting for the folks as the live music. So yeah.
The other thing is, to bring it up again, the podcast sort of works as a curated material where we take 4 songs from whatever, a month or so, and actually put a little time into. It can be a long process though, which drives me crazy, of course, because he'll spend like 4 weeks on a mix sometimes. So yeah, that's kind of where the podcast works too. It's a place to take polished versions of our songs.
Yeah, finalized, maybe a couple overdubs. Here's a polished track. Here's one right from the stream with the chat and everything in it, and just have some of our favorite moments together in there.
Right. Now, where can people find your podcast? Is it on like Spotify and iTunes, or where can they find it?
It's on iTunes. It's on Google Play. I believe it will work on anything because you can find the RSS feed directly on our website, fieldprocessor.com.
Yeah.
So that's the easiest way. I'm just going to go ahead and type that in chat too. So folks can follow your podcast. I have not followed it yet, but I want to check it out. Just hearing you talk about it, it's got me really interested to see how that goes.
Now,
so
if you want to hear, like, again, people like to watch a new streamer starting off, and then you're brand new and you kind of grow. Like, the podcast is what, 3-4 years or something of
4 years.
There's a definite we're starting out curve to when you hear the content, the music, everything.
I love doing that too for podcasts that I followed for a long time.
Yeah,
to go back and then you listen to like episode 1 and you're like, oh man, these guys. It's so funny.
Yeah,
just because it's just like streaming. You learn as you go, and I don't know. You definitely get better at it for sure. No one ever gets worse at doing something.
No.
And that, that's what.
I think that's the key message. Like, just for everybody who's streaming, especially music, like just
keep doing it.
Just do it. And for me, I mean, I don't want to get on a soapbox or anything, but every time I hear a music streamer do original material, it blows me away.
Yeah.
And it's sort of the same kind of comment about I don't know if I'm ready to put this out here either. Again, I'm kind of nervous, but there's so many talented musicians on Twitch, and every time I hear something original, it's just like, I want to listen to this. There was a point where, like, I'm not going to the radio to find new music. I was like, let's go through the Twitch channels and see what people are playing. And as soon as an original will come up, you're like, okay, now can I find your album on Spotify or iTunes, or where can I get yours? And finding new music that way was way more exciting for me.
That's cool. That's good encouragement too. And I think most of us would echo your sentiment too, if we can magnify, what you're saying, your sentiment towards other music streamers and new streamers. Put your music out there. Do it.
If you add up all the original music from, let's say, the music community here on Twitch, you got to have hundreds of songs. I would say.
Oh yeah.
And that's one thing I did want to bring up that we're kind of talking about this. If you guys are music streamers and you're not in the music Discord, there's something in announcements there where, some staff at Twitch reached out and said, hey, tell us about your stream, your original music, your original content. Like I think something could be really cool happening in the future with that. And on Twitch's end too, they recognize, there's some great original music that you can only watch live here on Twitch. And I think that's really cool. So
smart. And I'm with live.
You guys.
Mm-hmm. It's live, and you actually get to chat with the musicians right there on the spot. I mean, that's such a cool thing.
Oh yeah. If I may share a story, this is always a fun thing. I love talking to all my musician friends who I played shows with in the 90s, right? And they're still in that attitude of playing a show means going out to a physical establishment and trying to convince as many friends as possible to show up so it's not empty. And I'm talking about what I've been doing for the last couple of years with my bro. And they're like, yeah, but don't you want to play a show? And I was like, we play a show every week. Yeah. It's like, well, don't you miss like the interactions? Like, no, this is more interactive than it was before. Like, it was great that people could clap or boo, but now you get a direct response, which I really like, or a bit of a back and forth with your audience, which is really cool.
And our audience has been really great. I mean,
we've been lucky.
We got a pretty tight little crew, but they're all awesome. Like, I don't think we've never been trolled hard yet.
Uh-oh.
So I've just jinxed it.
You did.
But
it's on.
Yeah. No, it's an awesome group. Absolutely.
Cool. So what have you learned the most about like the technology end of things? I know Dan was talking about, how you first got started and stuff like that, but what area did you have to actually kind of dig into and do some research that you didn't already have a skill set at? Like
I do it all the time. I'm constantly digging into gear. The biggest change for us would have been when we started, we were doing, I think, what a lot of people are doing, and you're in a DAW and you're outputting from the DAW. So you would kind of get all your instruments and sounds into the DAW, and you could do a little bit of tweaking there and output it to your stream. But I changed to an interface that has like plugins and effects that are all separate. And part of that freedom is just like, if we're playing a show and I do want to flip over and start mixing something, I can open up Logic and mix, and it's not going to be like my whole stream is gone because I have to reroute all my audio. I've got a standalone audio device that I can count on. It's always running, and then still have whatever. Now I can even add gaming audio. We've done a couple unsuccessful gaming streams, but it frees that up. It's nice to not think about those details. Like, the whole point of this room was just to get everything working so we could just come in and play and not think about the tech too much. So I do like to do that on my free time. I always love hearing about new pedals and what this new thing will do, and see what we can add in, but
drives me crazy.
Yeah.
That's good though, new sounds, new spices.
Cool. It's like an ever evolving. Like, what else can you add in? We added a little effect unit, which is like a small little, I don't know if you've heard of the Chaos pads. It's the same thing. It's a little mini portable version. And now Shades can run his drums through it. So even as we're playing, it's like we want to take a section that's already a loop and it's static. Well, you can affect it even more on the fly too. It just adds another layer to it, which is great. That's cool.
Well, as far as gaming streams are concerned, you guys have an open invite next time I do a poker night. I'd love to have you guys join us for some Texas Hold'em.
Nice. Love it.
Yeah, I remember when I first got my SPDS pad. This is back in when they first came out. I think it was like 04-ish. And I remember I'd make all these loops and stuff, and we'd use it live. And then I was like a little kid with like the phaser, and they're like, stop adding in all those effects. I was like, it sounds so cool. And they're like, knock it off. We don't need reverb.
Well.
That's me with my vocoder. Don't get me started. If I start something on my vocoder, I'm gonna like scat and beatbox and say silly stuff with the vocoder for 30 minutes.
Oh, but it's fun, man. It's so much fun. I think it's worth exploring, right? Like, don't just like don't do it because it's too much. I think you have to kind of go way out there to then find out what maybe works and tastefully pull back a bit and find an element that you could do in a song that you may never have done before, right? It's worth exploring. We love exploring. I mean, we're kind of like audio explorers. That's more what we do. And it's neat that you bring up the SPDS pad, because it's an SPD 11 that he's playing.
Yeah, I was just thinking soon we're gonna have like Dora the Musical Explorer. That could be cool.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So, what does the future hold for you guys? Like, anything that you got coming up, or that you would like to talk about, or?
Sure. As I was actually really curious about this with your last podcast when you had the Luck on.
Yeah.
I feel like duos kind of bring an interesting dynamic, because when you ask these questions, I'm sure each of them have their own response, right? So I think with this one, you got to hear what he's got to say, and I'm going to say what I got to say. We'll see if they line up. They might not.
They won't.
Have you leave the room, and then the other one come back.
Put up the screen of silence. No, like for me, the goal is now. I am, I guess, a little more old school in that way. But for music and as a musician, I want to have some content that is accessible in a traditional method. So I would like to put together an EP and get some of these songs that now we're getting to a point. I think we know one version anyways, because we do multiple versions, but one version that we're pretty happy with and have available, whether it's iTunes, Spotify, whatever, have some of that, because right now the only way you can get it is through the podcast or live on stream. So I'm up for that challenge, and I feel like I've gotten there for the mixing level and all that end of it. So I'd like to produce some songs for sure.
So for me, I think that's a little antiquated. Like I don't know about that, right? I would love to hear some feedback though if the chat wants to get in on that.
Yeah.
But what I look more forward to, which is something we've been talking about, is the possibility of building a new studio in a basement. Because this room gets so hot in our streams, especially in the summer, it can just get so brutal.
Yeah.
But a new space will also allow maybe for more streams in the week, because
that's true.
Our schedule is very difficult. This is a father of 3, so
yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah,
he's got to deal with that stuff, and sometimes these kids will just come running into the room, and you don't want these kids on the stream.
That's what I'm worried about.
I'm not saying they're terrible. I'm just saying it would be nice to have an established space.
Yeah. More
do you want to know? Do you want to know something funny in that room down there? I put a lock on the door, and my dad was like, "What do you need a lock for?" I was like, "I need a lock."
And an on-air sign. You need an on-air light up.
Yeah.
Don't bug Daddy.
Yeah.
Daddy's recording.
So there's a big old lock on that door.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of you guys taking, sort of the best bits, maybe even places where you feel like, let's rewrite this part or let's rewrite a lyric here, but wow, this groove was really solid. This is a great musical piece, where you don't lose the inspiration from the live part.
Yeah.
But where you can take it, and I think the terminology that came to my mind was taking it and making it easily accessible to the common listener. As a music nerd, right?
Yeah.
I'll sit there for 10 minutes and listen to you guys build a loop, because I'm like, what are they going to do next? What are they going to do here? As a musician and a music nerd, like, I'm going to sit there. But I know that for some people, and there's another friend of ours, the Etc. Kid we had on several weeks ago.
Yeah. Actually,
he does live
one
looping.
Yeah.
He does some really cool live looping, but it can take so long to build it that sometimes it's hard to maintain the larger audience of people that will catch the nuggets that come out of it, Yeah. So I think as long as you didn't sacrifice sort of that, what you're doing live, the way you're just fresh and stuff like that, but could take a few songs like that, put together an EP and put it out there, I think it would gain even more of sort of the peripheral music appreciators.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's just an option to share. I mean, that's part of it. We really want to create music, so we also want to share it. So if that's, how people can access it, at least there's something there for them, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, I definitely can see that challenge, and I do notice that, and even the people that are in our stream are generally musically minded, and they're the same sort of musical background as us, or listen to the same music that we did growing up, and you definitely feel like, okay, there's some similarities here. You're not going to break through, to everyone with the format that we got going on. But that's okay too. Sure. I don't know.
It is difficult though you're kind of reverse engineering what most artists do when they go into a studio. Usually they build something either while they're in the studio from something, or but you guys have created like a live thing that is evolving constantly, and then to say, okay, let's pick a thing that's going to be it. It's gotta be hard.
It's tricky. It is tricky. I think we purposely make these decisions to make things tricky on ourselves all the time.
Yeah. Keeps you on your toes though.
Yeah.
Sure. One of the things that we have done on that point is we've started sharing like drum loops and things with our sub community on our Discord, so that they can take pieces of stuff that we create and also get creative with it, which I think has been a really cool experiment.
Cool. Actually, that would be the one thing worth putting out there right now. That would be a goal, is to connect with more people on Twitch or Discord, and anybody that's up for some kind of working together, we're open to that for sure. I mean, not geographically, because I know it's going to be difficult for any of us timing wise to actually physically be in person, but sharing some tracks or adding some things to somebody's music, or taking a piece of something we're doing and having your way with it, we're definitely open to that. So
I could play a mean shaker.
All right, you're in. I need some mean shaker, actually.
No,
and you guys,
I think that'd be awesome.
You guys actually you sent me a loop that when I caught one of your production streams.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, that loop has just got like so much cool little counterpoint stuff in it. And you sent it to me, and I keep forgetting to pull it up. I want to pull it up while I'm on stream, not just try to write with it. I want to pull it up like on stream and be like, just and do something with it. So thank you for sending that to me. I think that's brilliant though. Sharing pieces of music, collaborating with other folks. That's one of the coolest things about Twitch to me, dude.
Yes.
Absolutely. The people that I feel like we're all meeting each other, and literally not just from around the country, like in the U.S., but like around the world, other countries, all people in Australia, people. It's like just nuts. So cool.
Oh yeah. Actually, that was one of our fun first, one of our early day streams. We had some guy from Portugal, I think, and he was showing up in our chat, and he was speaking Portuguese. We didn't know what he was saying, and after we finished it off, we looked it up on like Google Translate, and it was something like "good music," and I was like, "Oh, cool! He liked it. He liked it. That's great." And I thought that was just so neat. That was one of the first times. It's like, yeah, this is going out to everybody, and I do like that a lot.
Yeah.
I think one of the next big things Twitch should look into, I wish they would look into, would be automatically integrating a Google Translate into chat.
Yeah,
so that
not,
when someone is typing in Portuguese, or they're you can go to Google Translate and it'll auto detect what the stuff is. Like if we could build something like that into chat, dude, that would be so stinking cool.
It's like people are so good at developing stuff for this platform, like they get their hands on the API. I've seen just some crazy stuff that I'm like, if you like put a gun to my head and said, all right, make this integrate with that, I'd be like, yeah, just pull the trigger. I wouldn't be able to do it. But there's some really talented coders out there, and people that have I'm sure there's got to be something that can pull chat, but I don't know. That would be really cool.
I'm gonna search for it, because I've been fortunate enough to connect with and have some other music streamers just because of the time of day that I stream. There's a lot of European and other countries where they're finishing their streams while I'm still live. I've had German, Portuguese, and Russian streams come over. And the majority of their chatters don't speak English, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, I don't speak Russian. I don't have any idea what you're saying.
And you feel bad, right? Because you genuinely want to be able to interact with them, and you're at a lot. I always feel just so unequipped and inadequate. It's like, oh man, I wish I could express, and understand everything that you're saying.
That'd be cool.
I'm so sorry for the construction sounds, guys.
It's all good, Dan. It makes me feel like pushing a little Tonka truck around, man.
I think I got one on the shelf.
Nice. I was just say, I noticed like the BB-8, it is a very cool shelf. You have some cool stuff.
It's got all sorts of weird stuff on there.
Yeah. There was a time we put a Easter egg into every stream where we just play something in one of the camera views. And wait for someone to notice it.
To see if it comes up in chat.
Some good fun ones.
Like Superman in Seinfeld. Superman shows up in every episode somehow.
Similar to that,
yeah,
exactly.
Well, I mentioned to Doc when we first kind of hopped on here, if there was any, I feel like I've been out of the loop for the past couple weeks with all this going on, but I asked if there was any like big news. There's not like too much craziness going on, but one of the cool things that we all kind of brought up was Resurrection Fern's raid from Shroud, and like how that has really not only helped her, like I saw she's trying like to push like making an official album, which is like really, really cool. Speaking of original music, her stuff is, I like, especially like when her dad comes in, like she's just all music, and she's very talented. And I watched that video. I watched it probably a week late, but it's on YouTube if you guys want to go check it out. But I was like, like it's just, it was so sweet to see how a community like that could do such a positive thing for the music community. And then, but it's not just that. Like I've seen some tweets where people say like Fern was auto hosting them, and a lot of the people that were in Shroud's thing, like it carried over. So it's just kind of like little things like that are huge for everybody in our community. It sheds light on just everything that we're doing. So I don't know. I think that was really cool. I smiled ear to ear when I watched that video.
Yeah.
And I love her reaction.
For those who,
it was so great. She was trying to find the song and she's like, I can't think. It was
Yeah.
I would have like died, I think. I don't know what, but it was really cool.
For those who don't know what Dan's referring to, someone very generously went to Shroud, and I think they're actually a subscriber and known, on Shroud's channel, who is a huge game streamer, like multiple thousands of viewers. Made a donation and said, look, all I want you to do is check your email. Could you just take 1 minute and check your email? And so Shroud was like, oh, okay. I mean, it was a big donation. It was very generous. Mm-hmm. So he did. He went and checked his email, and it was basically this guy saying, hey, here's this girl. She's talented. She's streaming. She's trying to raise money for some medical assistance, this, that, and the other. Anything you could do to help. And so Shroud's like, everybody go right now. Like, he pulls up her streams, says, everybody go. Subscribe to her. If you got a Twitch Prime sub, use it on her. Like, just go. So, of course, boom, and explosion happened in her channel and continued to. Yeah. And we're all, you know what, man, we're all happy to see that happen to anybody. It's just such a generous outpouring. But then, Dan, I agree. Not only to see Fern benefit in a personal way, but a lot of channels have picked up auto, that are already on her auto host. The next morning, of all things, Lord help, I was streaming the debut of Jurassic World Evolution. Oh, yeah. It's a little game. And I started real early in the morning, and so nobody else was on, and I got 1,024 member auto host. Wow. From Fern, because it was the morning after all that happened with Shroud. It's like, I was like, 1,000 people auto host. What in the world happened?
People love them Raptors, Doc. People love Raptors.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But that's happened, I know, with a lot of people, and so it does. It affects the music community as a whole. Yeah. To see that kind of attention
in a really good way too. Like, it's, I don't know, communities like Shroud, like that do, that are based around like just being good and helping, and like that's so cool, like that's the people we want to go, hey, what is this music thing? Who else is on here? That's I don't know. Like I said, I'm late to the party, but once I watched everything, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. But I don't know, I think it was really neat. Another really cool thing before I left, we mentioned Megan, Lennius, and Raquel and Sam performed in Hollywood 2 weeks ago, and it was really cool. A lot of music streamers came out that were in kind of the Southern California area, but you mentioned like how neat it was to see Megan go from, kind of starting out to where she is now, and all those people. Megan, like, it was so fun to watch him. She was like, I don't know, like that me? Do I have a phone in here? I might have an actual phone that I don't know about. It's a new house. Yep. I haven't quite figured it out.
We need a new studio.
Yeah. But like, it was, you get to see them on stream, performing but in a live setting, it was like it was really fun to watch them live, to get that energy like firsthand, and to see a crowd react. It was, in my head, I was kind of envisioning it like how a Twitch chat, kind of is individually. You might be sitting on your couch watching, being like, that was really cool, but to be in a room with a lot of Twitch music family, it was really neat to see people react. And I don't know, like, I didn't even go over, there was a computer set up where you could look at chat, but I didn't want to, because I was just kind of enjoying the atmosphere of the room, and they put on a really good show. It was really cool to see some Twitch staff came out, and it was just a really fun night. And I brought some friends that, they know what I do kind of on Twitch, but they didn't quite get it. And then at the end of the night, they were like, this is like the coolest thing. And I don't know. So I think if, that just keeps, continuing, just keep telling, like you said, like your friends, and some people have to experience it in different ways to fully get what it is,
That's our experience entirely as well. Like, even just our family trying to explain what we're doing. No idea.
Yeah, because I was watching, my friends, and they're like, okay, so there's a computer over there that's streaming it, and there's how many people watching? I'm like, I don't know, probably a couple hundred. And they're like, really?
Yeah.
What? Yeah. And it was just neat to see them start to connect and put it all together, because we do take for granted that we're in it every day. We just go, oh yeah, we could just hit start stream and stuff happens, and I don't know, but it is pretty magical when you step back and see it in a different light. Or I don't know.
Sure.
For me that night, it really was. It was fun.
That's a thought that I've had too when I've heard or had private conversations with some music streamers, that either they're just getting started or maybe their time slot, they don't have 80, 90, 100 people all the time, but they'll have 10 or 12 or 15 or 20 or whatever. And, as a live musician, to go play somewhere where there's 15 people even that are like actively engaged in what you're doing is huge. Mm-hmm. If you weren't at home alone, that's actually a great little crowd.
Yeah.
And I say little crowd because you may not be busting out the door, but if you go play a coffee house somewhere, good luck if there's even 8 people in the building at the same time, much less any of them paying attention.
Not including
to what
the
you're
baristas or the
right, not including the employees. Yeah. So don't get discouraged, when you're playing. If you got 10, 15, 20 people, whatever, and they're engaged in what you're doing, man, that's success. As a musician, you're more successful than 90% of the live musicians that are traveling every weekend, having to lug their gear somewhere. Mm-hmm. Like, just enjoy that. Enjoy the people that you're with. And if you get to the point where you've got 40, 50, 60 people like that, man, you're killing it at that point. Yeah, don't look at someone who's got 200 viewers and think you're not killing it because you've only got 50. Yeah. Like, come on.
I remember, I'm sure you guys too have all had these gigs where, you might be playing a really cool venue in a town maybe that you don't know anybody, and you're like, oh, this place is huge, it's going to be awesome show tonight. You get there, and then the bartender's just like, leaned up against the bar going,
Sound guy too.
Sound guy,
the sound guy walks away.
He walks away. He's dialed it in. He's gone.
Yeah.
Everybody is just drinking and chatting. They're not even looking at the stage.
Yeah.
And that was probably our experiences near the end too. It's just like, okay, so why do I want to do this if I can actually have some people that really want to engage with us while we're performing? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The most hilarious, memorable, because of how ridiculous it was, live gig I ever played was at the huge National Fairgrounds near where I live. It was this Family Motor Coach Association thing. They were bringing in all sorts of local acts. Like, it was just supposed to be this big deal. Like, there's going to be thousands of people here. They booked us. They even paid us. It was a very well-paid gig. Of course, Family Motor Coach means RVs, which means retirees, which means old people. It was not families. It was old couples, right? And I'm out there with my guitar, But I show up and I'm like, I'm with the Pulse. That was our goofy band name. Yeah, and they're like,
play Stompin' Tom.
Yeah. They're like, you guys are right this way. You're over here in the goat barn. I said, in the what?
Oh my God.
In the what? It's fairgrounds, mind you. I'm like, we're not in the arena. Like, you guys are in the goat barn. They take us to the goat barn. Guys, tin roof,
rusted,
cinder block walls, concrete floor. Can you say hello? 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 It was like the sound guy had been there for 2 days already, and halfway through the first song, he is face down on the mixer, snort. There's like drool. I'm sure it's gonna zap him any moment. The drool coming out of his mouth, dude. It was like, what in the world? This guy can't even get into it. We started our show with about 18 old people, and halfway through the first song, we had like 4 people left. And they were just being polite, like. Anyway,
the goats probably loved it though.
I'm sure the goats loved it, but it was paid. That's what's out there for you in live music world. Don't diss your.
It's hard. I think it's a lot harder if you're doing a lot of shows and stuff than on Twitch. Like, because Twitch, there's definitely more of an audience, in my opinion, that are looking for what you're doing, and everybody's unique. And that's what's really cool is for every streamer, there's a viewer, they might not have found you yet, but they will. And Whereas when you're doing live shows in a certain town, it's hard. It's hard to find, an audience that is going to be interested in what you're doing, because you pull up in a new place. They don't know who you are. A lot of times people come to gigs because they know you personally, or, that sort of thing. So
you're bringing your crew with you.
Yeah.
And,
Posse.
Yeah.
The posse. Yeah.
And now your crew can join you in their pajamas while they're drinking tea at home.
Exactly.
It's like,
yeah,
I dig it.
Yeah.
Another thing really quick too, TwitchCon is that, again, I'm not farting, it's just the sound. In the Twitch Music Discord, there is a forum that if you are going to attend TwitchCon and you're a music streamer, please fill it out.
Gosh, Dan.
Man, I can't wait to go down to see it because he's been working. We're putting up like cool paneling. But if you're a music streamer and you are attending TwitchCon, please go into the music Discord. If you aren't a member of it yet, I'm going to mute for you guys. If you aren't a member yet...
Oh, now we can't hear him.
Oh, that's true.
Now
You
we
can't
can.
hear me.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
But please go in to the music Discord, fill out the form, just so Twitch staff knows kind of how many music streamers are coming, because if something does get planned for TwitchCon, it would be awesome to have you involved. So please check that out. And if you're not in the Discord, please hit one of us up or any music streamer, and we'll get you an invite into that Discord.
Absolutely. Are you guys in there, Field Processor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we are.
It gets to the point where I can't remember who I've seen in there and who I haven't, because it's grown. There are a
It's
lot
huge.
of music streamers.
Yeah.
So. Well, cool. Well, do we have anybody in chat have any questions for Shades or Space? Mm-hmm. I'll let you guess which one is Shades.
Mm-hmm. I was hoping like an animal would walk by, but no.
Yeah, not today.
Just the construction noises.
You can check it later. Maybe there was one. Clip it.
Yeah. Just post it and say there was a deer somewhere in the video. Can you find it?
Oh man.
Dwagon wants to know, how many guitars do you have both? Like combined between the two of them, or how many guitars you got?
How many guitars you got? Basically, you have acoustics too.
One. I guess I do have more, but this one right behind us here, this old PV Fury. They don't make those anymore. That was a handmade in the U.S. It fell down a set of stairs at one point, and the electronics were destroyed. So I basically rebuilt and gutted the thing. So they got custom pickups. It's a custom pickguard on it. And I've tried other basses. I even bought like a Ernie Ball, like a $3,000 bass when we were getting really serious in the band. And I keep coming back to this guy. It's my favorite. It's just awesome.
That's really cool. It's pretty.
You also have
I do have a McCartney style Epiphone one.
Oh, dude.
But again, it's just not as good. I love this bass.
It's a smaller body, right?
Yeah.
Like a violin bass.
And you have an acoustic guitar.
I guess I do on an acoustic guitar. I don't bring it here though.
Yeah. I've got an acoustic guitar. I've got a small little mini sort of parlor size acoustic, which I just love. Like it was the best $100 I ever spent. I went into a music store. They were like, I think they're even less, like $75 or something. It's like, And I saw all of these guys taking sort of backpacker type guitars with the really narrow bodies and things to go camping, to take it up wherever, throw it in your truck and go. And the thing sounds great. It's got like, it sounds cheap. It sounds kind of like, I guess it's good as a bluesy guitar for that reason. Like it just sounds nice. I've got Fender. I've got a couple Fenders. So I got a Strat. I've got a Jazzmaster. That's my custom one that I use all the time.
Nice.
And I kind of built that as well. It's custom pickups, custom wiring, custom. I really wanted to have a 60s Jazzmaster, but there was no way financially that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it's crafted in Japan, and then I just went for the best parts I could to get it as close. And I love that guitar too.
Yeah. Another thing too about the small guitars is sometimes you're just lazy and you don't want to be out here. You're just like,
It's great for me. Nice. When I was starting out, music time was like put the kids in the bathtub, and then I would sit and just get my acoustic out, and I would play for the 20 to 30 minutes that I had them in the tub.
Yeah.
And that would be even like get the phone out and record. So if I was writing something ingenious, I'd capture the moment. Nice. Meanwhile, it's like kids splashing and noises in the background, but
it's the percussion.
Yeah.
Daddy's working.
Daddy's working here.
Very cool. Yeah, Chico, they were introduced to Twitch. Chico was asking. He said he may have missed it or didn't hear, but how were they introduced to Twitch? How did you guys discover Twitch?
I think actually through PlayStation, right? Like we would have been aware of it through, because we started doing some online gaming, and then definitely with the PS4.
No, I was aware of Twitch as a gaming streaming platform, and again, there was some announcement they made where they were opening it up to creative, and then I got excited, so that's why we checked it out.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah,
cool. Yeah, I found it through Xbox. I think that's how
I think we actually did get on Twitch first, or at least created Twitch IDs for PlayStation.
Right.
Yeah. I was so behind, like. I played Call of Duty like hardcore, like Call of Duty 4 was that Modern Warfare. I played that like a lot online, and then there were years where I didn't go online, and I started playing a certain game and really getting into that. And my friends were like, "Oh, you can stream on Twitch and it'll save what you did." And I was so hardcore into this game, like I would go back to review my gameplay, and like, so I would stream. I don't know if anyone ever came in, but I had a Twitch account just to, I didn't even watch anybody. I wasn't subscribed, but I would just stream so I could go back. And we were pretty hardcore, like as a team, we'd watch what we did and break it down. But it was just cool because like then from that, like watching my gameplay, I think on the side one day, certain streamers pop up and you're like, what's this? Oh, this is, and then it just snowballed from there. But it is kind of neat how we all kind of find it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
D&D,
cool.
tabletop, Lusty, that's awesome.
Well, guys,
that's a nice path.
Anything else, Field Processor, anything else you guys wanted to talk about or bring up before we bring things to a close today?
Well, I think one question people may have wanted to ask and maybe feel it's impolite is, where did these nicknames come from, right? And I do want to point out that they were given to us from our community, and that's part of that interactive thing again, where we never really introduce ourselves as, hey, I'm old and young, bro 1, bro 2, like. Just as we've been streaming, people will just refer to names. And this guy went through a few nicknames before we settled on Space. But Shades in Space came from our community, so it's not us trying to be cool and say, hey, everybody, look at us.
This is my name.
These are from
Shades. Yeah.
These are from our group, which is awesome.
Yeah,
cool. That's really cool. And Dwigon, really quick before we wrap it up, which Twitch music artist would you like to make a collab with if you got the chance?
All of them, any of them. To be honestly, there's so many good ones. I couldn't name one.
Except Doc, right? Like not Doc.
I'd collab with Doc any day. The Luck, sure, absolutely.
Yeah. I was thinking while you mentioned them, so I'm trying to think of all the family kind of streamers that we have in a sense.
Right.
It must be a big board. So we got the Luck, you guys, the Eaglesons.
Yeah, that's right.
And Vari.
And
yes, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, dude,
who else?
Simply magic when they pop into 3-part harmony. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Fern and like her dad, will hop in.
My son plays trombone with me sometimes.
yeah. Piano Impro Man, like they're kind of like a team. I was just trying to think of because there's a lot. Cole, Chords and Cole. Sometimes his family comes on and does stuff. Like it is neat to see like the family kind of thing and the dynamic of family members and how that is on stream. I think that's really cool. Like listening back when I was editing the Luck thing, I just laughed like the whole time because that's like how I am with my sister, like it's just a back and forth of like, oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, Family of Guardians. That's true.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
The Bright brothers,
Destiny
Ben,
peeps too.
Yeah.
Benjamin and Brian Bright.
There's a lot of family.
Yeah, help us out, guys. Any other ones? What's up, watching? It's so awesome to see people. I really miss people. It's been like 2 weeks since I packed up, or maybe even longer. So it's so nice to see your guys' names pop up. And I say names, but it's like faces. Isn't that weird though? Like how we associate the names with, I don't know. I just think it's really cool. But guys, where can people find you if they haven't already?
The easiest place?
Website, FieldProcessor.com. We're on Twitch every week. We've had a Thursday slot, which has been very consistent. So check us out every Thursday on Twitch.
Yeah, nice. And thank you guys so much for being here. I know, like, you guys took the time and to be here and to talk to us. We really appreciate it for sure.
Right back at you.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
So Dan, next
sorry
week,
about
right?
sorry about all the construction noises and stuff, but
so next week, you wanted to make sure to let people know that those who want to weigh in on some Twitch things, ask some questions from the community, send us a message through Twitter. Would that be the best way, you think, Dan?
Twitter, Discord. What I want to do next week is kind of like a town hall, I guess you could say, like a Twitch music town hall. Just, I want, if you're a viewer, if you're a mod, if you're a music streamer, anyone in the community, I just kind of would, if you got ideas for discoverability, anything that, that maybe an idea you guys have had or thought about, or anything you'd like to talk about, this is the Music Community Podcast, and it's not just about streamers. And any chance that we can hear from, people that participate in that community that don't get a voice as often as we do, I really want to hear from them. So if you would like to come on and just chat about anything, tell us how great we look, that's totally fine too. No, but please spread the word.
Very, very specific.
Yeah. There's an open invitation. You don't have to be a music streamer. You could just, because there's some really awesome viewers here in our community that I know have some great ideas, and I kind of want to hear them and their thoughts. So
next week, 1 p.m. Eastern still? Yes.
Yeah. We'll call it
Town Hall.
The Music Community Town Hall. And there's no specific topic, but I just like to have some discussions. If people have some stuff on their mind, or they want to come on and talk about any ideas, anything like that, I would love to hear about it and love to chat.
Very cool.
So
Sounds
next week, next Friday, that's what we're doing.
What I'd like to know is if I can get some Doc Bizzle branded glasses and do some cross promotion here.
They will be available on Amazon soon for purchase if you want to buy them from Amazon.
Nice.
Yeah, I got a whole shipment of them in. So
nice.
Sweet.
Well, for the audio listeners, thank you guys for listening. We're going to sign off here, and then we'll say goodbye to chat. But yeah, we love you guys a ton, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
See ya.
Broke down at the side road. The fuel has all been burned. I'm not thinking clearly. And still my wheels they turn. Like speaking another language is harder than it seems. If I follow the program, will it lead me to my Moonlight is my pathway. Covers the darkness beneath. The rising sun is smiling with monochromatic teeth.